So I'm picking blackberries. You got to be careful when you're picking blackberries because of the thorns. And the other issue when you're picking blackberries is poison ivy. And the deal is that the blackberries and poison ivies both have leaf clusters of 3. And so you get used to the way blackberry leaves are shaped and the way poison ivy leaves are shaped. And you can't pick blackberries if you're afraid of everything with 3 leaves. So the best way to not be afraid is to learn the differences. So a lot of times the berries are down low because the vine leans over, and a lot of times they're up really high. If I ever drop a berry, I don't worry about it because they have the seeds to grow new berry vines. Of course, the seeds also get spread by birds who eat the berries. I'm looking down in here for poison ivy as I go. If you bring the camera over here, you can see some poison ivy down here. And so it looks a little different, but it's a difference that, and it's a subtle difference, but it's a difference that you get attuned to the more you pick. The other thing is, if you're having trouble figuring out whether it's poison ivy or blackberries, just remember that poison ivy vines don't have thorns, and the blackberries do. That's what we're doing. Blackberries, when they first form, are green, then they turn red, then they turn black. So, I'll say something to people about the blackberries or the red blackberries are turning black, or the green blackberries are turning red. It sounds like gibberish. Another thing I do while I'm cutting blackberries is I'll have to keep the honeysuckle cut off of them because they'll just engulf it, and then you can't find the berries. And in fact, it takes photosynthesis to make a ripe blackberry. They'll just never get ripe. So here's a honeysuckle vine I want to remove. Another thing that people worry about when they're picking blackberries is snakes. The thing about snakes is they're not going to sneak up on you and bite you. You're going to go in, if you get bit, it'll be because you went in too fast, and then you startled them and they bit you. So what you want to do is, when you're approaching the brush, step in, keep your feet planted, don't step around and stuff. Reach what you can, look where you're going to step next, and go on from there. What I wouldn't do is just step blindly into something like that. This brush gets pretty thick, and it's impossible to see through. It's a slow process, and you have to constantly worry about, you know, getting the thorns. You know, sometimes the thorns will grab your clothes and you got to back out the other way. When I say back out the other way, I mean if I get stuck with thorns going in, then I back away. And if that pulls, then I go back in. The little thorns are curved, so they only really go in one way. Might notice that we don't trim these back even when they go over the edge of our driveway here. I don't worry about that until after they stop producing late in the summer. If you tug on a blackberry and it doesn't come right off, leave it on, because it's going to be sour anyway. The ripe ones come off real easy. This is a good time to trim back the invasives. And so when we do that, we're out picking berries, and we trim back the invasives. There must have been a rabbit back there. We're doing ourselves a favor, and we're doing nature a favor. You know, people bring in plants, and then they kind of invade where the natural species are for this area, the indigenous species. And we definitely want to protect the indigenous species. You know, the nature can only adapt so fast, and people are changing things faster than nature can adapt to. So, you know, try to help that by undoing a little bit of the damage. If we can, you know, do it and still get some berries, why not do it? So here's something else, poison ivy wise. This is a vine, and you'll notice that it's got leaves of 3, but you'll also notice that the leaf clusters come out like opposite each other, right together like that. And so poison ivy doesn't do that. And this stuff, whatever it is, does that really consistently. And that particular vine will just about choke out everything. So, and you know, we're doing this in the afternoon today, I think, because you can see better and everything. But usually we do this in the morning, and you know, there's still quite a bit of dew on everything, and it's nice and cool. I'm not sweating like this. Try to make it as comfortable as you can. It takes about an hour to go around our property and pick all the berries. And, you know, since I'm retired, you know, time is not money in this business. And, you know, we eat wild food. We eat food from our garden. And it's not about, you know, how efficiently we could do this in terms of time. I'd like to spend all day, you know, puttering about, but it's more about how much food we can get, just from our land, our 8 acres. So that's what we try to do. So I like to think that we produce or forage somewhere between a third and a fourth of what we do, and the blackberries are a part of that. I think last year we got about 6 gallons of wild blackberries, and we do kind of cultivate them, but we didn't put them here, and the birds like them, and they get their share. Anyway, thanks for listening.